everybody, welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to PSGL F3 here in Season 42 for the start of the Middle Eastern double to end off the season. That's right, 2 more rounds to go, and the championship fight is well and truly alive in the Williams camp, with Santana, of course, last week was able to take the lead away from Victor Vidler and make it 7 points at the top. My name is Max Ring, and I'll be taking you through all of tonight's action, and we of course head to Abu Dhabi here for round 9 for what should be a very interesting evening. Of course, being the penultimate round means that if Santana does make that championship lead 18 points heading into next week, so if he scores 11 points more than Victor Vidler, he will be crowned Drivers' Champion. That is what's on the line for tonight. And of course, Vidler, he's just driving to either take that championship lead back away or try and keep his hopes alive. Either way, Vidler cannot win the title, but Santana can. A very exciting race ahead of us. Of course, we'll have some outside favourites. So as the drivers load into qualify and get out onto the circuit, let's run you through your drivers' standings. You've got Santana, Vidler, and Gabadi all still well and true in contention. Dennis Lanrock is an outside shout. He is on 50 points, 28 points behind. And then you've got Casper Flack in 5th, who is out of championship contention. You've got Kennis, the 2 Aston Martins line up 5th and 6th. There's Ivan Iskrig with 29 points. Wojtek Steg, Daniel Koya, Lucas Basler rounds up the top 10 of the standings. And it's Oliver Knott, Damien Curiel, Zalan Bieda, Felipe Sousa, Niall Gio, Galanay, Piaszewski, Achenbach, Raphael Janssen, Dean, Napadovsky, and Cavero rounds out your point scorers in the standings. And of course, at the front of the field, we look at Santana, Vidler, Gabadi, Lanrock. It's mainly between the 2 Williams boys, but for Gabadi and Lanrock, they still have an opportunity to fight their way back in this title hunt. And let's now head track side as the drivers are now getting underway. And the first driver around looks to be Alexi Cavero. So let's go on board with the Red Bull as he makes his way through the final corner and starts the first flying lap of the evening, so making his way through turn 1 down to 4th gear of that inside apex curve quite nicely, and then brings it through turns 2 and then through 3 in qualifying, especially flat out through this first complex of corners as you head through 4, and now late on the brakes into 5, braking as the curb starts, get the car into the apex nicely, drift it out that right hand side, and then it'll be DRS open for the Red Bull as he makes his way down the over 1 kilometre long back straight. Of course, you lose a lane on that right hand side, so usually drivers stick to the middle, but Cavero decided to follow the painted line this time around as you head into turn 6 and 7 for the first time. DRS is then open as you make your way through 8, and this leads you all the way down the national pit straight into 9. You'll be braking around about the 50 metre port down to around about 5th gear, potentially 4th. Cavero elects for 4th gear, gets back on the power nicely, drifts back over to the right hand side as you keep a tight line through turns 10 and 11 before slightly drifting out to the left for 12, down to 2nd gear, slowly bringing that power back on, a little bit of a slap for the Red Bull as he now makes his way through turn 14 and up into the final couple of corners. Is flat out through 15 and into 16. It's late on the brakes, down to 3rd gear over the exit curb, but the benchmark time for Alexi Cavero is a 1 minute 21.6. Next to the line behind him is Zapodovsky, who's got a 10th faster than that with a 21.5. Zalabieda now to the top. It's all three drivers so far setting lap time, displacing one another. Galanay into second. Of course, let's have a look at one of the two Williams drivers. 51.3 in the middle sector for Alex Santana. What about Victor Vidler, who of course was not here last week? And what is this going to be for the Williams? Across the line he goes. It's Kenneth on pole, and then it's Victor Vidler onto that provisional top spot. Santana to the line. He snatches it away, crucially from teammate Vidler. And it's a 21-1 is now the new benchmark for everybody to beat. Abe Gabadi is pushing on. He's sitting around about the same first sector as Alex Santana, of course. Will need to score 12 points here this evening more. And Santana to keep. He's out alive, but a big snap through 13 is not going to do him any good as Diaz moves his way into second fastest. And Gabadi has invalidated. Gio to the line goes 9th fastest. Not too bad there from the Haas driver. Still waiting on Rafael. What's it going to be for him in the Ferrari? Across the line, 4th for Rafael with 21.3. Slots himself just in front of Giovanni Kedis, with yet to set lap times being Gabadi and not with Rene Clean, the only driver in the 1 minute 22s. So a very frantic start to this session, with Alex Santana taking that top spot early on after the first runs. Exactly what he needs for his championship challenge. Of course, if things finish as they are for Santana, if the race finished in this order, he would gain 6 points. Not be enough to take the title, but give plenty of breathing room heading into Saudi Arabia. Of course, for Gabadi and Lamrock, they are certainly outside favourites. So actually, no, sorry, for Gabadi, he needs to outscore Santana by 2 points. It's Lamrock who needs to outscore by 12, and he's 5th fastest currently, of the Gabadi down in 17th. Doing enough at the moment. Of course, we wait for these drivers to come back into pit lane, get on a fresh set of boots to go out once more. And then they on to their second attempt, which of course for Gabadi, especially in this scenario, not only Oliver Knott but Gabadi as well. Oliver Knott, last week's pole sitter and race winner. And for Gabadi, crucial he gets the lap time on the board because he does not want to leave it till that final run. Actually see one of the McLarens heading out onto the road. That is going to be of Rene Clean. Currently lies 16th fastest, slowest of all. Set lap times so far. And we shall see what now occurs for Rene Clean. Of course, currently on a 22-0, and he can find 3 attempts to the closest car in front of him if he wants to at least gain a position. Be weaving just to gain some tyre temperature with 10 minutes left to go here in qualifying. Is going to be a very frantic end, you would think, especially with how close these times are. Because look at that, from Patton all the way down to Alexi Cavero. It's only a 10th, over a 10th of a second, separating 8th to 14th. Finding a 10th there for Cavero would promote him up into 9th. A bit more than that, a couple hundredths more. See him up into 8th fastest for Alex Santana. He's not got a big healthy lead over Claudio Diaz either. It's only about half a 10th there, as we're of course now getting underway with Rene Clean for his next attempt, his second lap in the session. What is the McLaren going to be able to deliver through the first sector split, up by 700ths of a second. Nicely done through turn 5 as he now gets himself back onto the power and runs down this over 1 kilometre back straight. Is he going to hug to that inside like we've seen others do? Yes, he does. Of course, we saw it was the Red Bull of Cavero try that line as well as he makes his way onto the brakes now into turn 6. A good exit there out of 7 actually for clean. DRS open for the McLaren as he drives his way into turn 9. A very tricky traction point is turn 9. That's just going to be one of the kicks. Albers getting out of the way quite nicely. 2 tenths up on his previous best now. He's still going to stay 16th as things currently stand, but you never know what he could find in the final sector. Could have made some big errors, costly errors, come the end of his lap, but no, picks up an invalidation, turns in too soon at turn 12, sorry, and he is unfortunately made sure that lap will not count. What about Alexi Cavero? Of course, is currently 14th fastest, finding a 10th of a second for him, as we mentioned, would put him up into 9th. For Cavero, nicely done through the final couple of corners. Of course, flat out through the final one. How nicely does he hit the apex here at turn 16? A lot better than on that previous lap he did across the line. He goes his 6th fastest, 2 tenths found. Just under 2.5 tenths, and it slots him into 6th, just behind Giovanni Gellis, in front of Dennis Langrock. Interesting to see what Gabadi can do now on his attempts. Of course, this is a crucial lap for one of the championship hopefuls, but invalidates up at turn 5, and his lap is already in the bin before it even starts. I think Zalan Bieda is just a little bit further around on the road. Yes, he is heading into the middle sector split himself. A 10.5 to the good. So at the moment, we'll be breaking into that top 4 onto the second row of the grid. But can he find any more time in the final part of the lap? So far, we have seen 2 invalidations and 1 clean lap in this mid part of qualifying. Is Bieda going to add to the tally of the invalidations, or can he make it through nicely? A bit of a narrower line through the penultimate corner, and into the final corner we go now. All about the power, try not to run too far wide, up to the line. It's 4th fastest, found a bit more time in the final sector and puts him 100th shy of man in 3rd, Victor Vidler, who's up by 2 thousandths in the first sector, and teammate Santana picked up an invalidation but was improving by 300ths of a second. Victor Vidler now through the middle sector split, he's up by 300ths as well. This at the moment will just leave him shy of that front row of the grid. We'll stay on board with the Williams driver, of course, who has led a majority of the season in this championship, has been the one at the very top. Missed last week, and Santana capitalised, making that gap 7 points at the front. But for Victor Vidler, it was a bit scrappy through 12 and 13, and up into the final corner we go now with the Swede. What's it going to be for Vidler? 3rd fastest currently across the line. It's up to 2nd, 200th shy of teammate Alex Santana, improved by 67 thousandths as Giovanni Kennis now goes into 2nd. He's 3 thousandths shy of Santana. Time's going to start to come in thick and fast, and Raphael is up by a 10th in the middle sector. That was Patton going up into 5th. Now Gio is just ahead of Raphael. Oliver not to the fastest of all. Pole last week, provisional pole here this week. Gio to the line, can't find an improvement. What about Raphael as he makes his way to the line? He goes 4th fastest, splitting more cars between Victor Vidler and Alex Santana. It's ridiculously fine margins, 2 thousandths separate the Ferrari and the Williams. And are we still waiting on anybody else to set lap times? Is Napadovsky pushing on? No, he is not. What about Ave Gabadze, the only driver yet to set a lap time? But no, he's running out of fuel as well. But for Oliver Knott, it was pole to race victory last week. This week on his first attempt, he's stuck it on provisional pole. What could he deliver in the final stages of qualifying? But it's so fine margins. The top 8 separated by 1/10 and 100th. So if you're Zalan Bieda and you've improved by a 10.5, you'll have a 400ths advantage at the top of the field over your closest competitor. That's just how ridiculously close this field is. And the same could be said as well for Dennis Langrock and Max Veglars. The top 10 separated by the barest of margins. Qualifying session here at Abu Dhabi. It's going to come all the way down to the wire. It's going to be all about who can keep their composure. Those, of course, the drivers now come back into pit lane. They will start to prepare for their final runs, put a fresh set of boots on, and then go again. 4 minutes and 20 seconds remain here in qualifying. Oliver Knott looking for back-to-back pole position. Of course, said in his interview last week after the race win, like the championship is not going to be in his grasp at all, joining so late from F4, but he would love to carry on getting podiums, race wins, just show what he is made of. After last week was his first proper attempt, and he surely did capitalise on it. Of course, was there at Singapore, but did have a qualifying ban for that. But last week was able to participate in both qualifying and the race, and absolutely dominated the latter stages at Spa. So in qualifying as well, of course, for Knott, it is all now kind of be a nuisance to the rest of the field. Show what you're made of, show what you're capable of doing. Go from there, heading into next season, set yourself up for be nicely. But for the Papaya machine, Papaya driver, make it back-to-back race victory. Join quite an exclusive club this season. Only Gabadi and Vidler, I think, are in that club here this season. I think you join from F4 a tier below. You're not really expecting to be on the pace straight away. You're expected to be in that lower mid-pack to be already looking at back-to-back race victories. It certainly does show how good of a driver you are. And yes, the only 2 drivers this season to pick up back-to-back victory, Gabadi and also Victor Vidler. The only other drivers to pick up race victories are Casper Flack and Oliver Knott. Also Alex Santana as well. So only 5 drivers, should I say, all season long have picked up race victories. And 3 of those could do a back-to-back in this championship. Of course, it being Gabadi back-to-back. Then Vidler instantly responded with a back-to-back in that championship battle. We didn't expect Santana to really be close to fighting his way into the title picture. But here we are at round 9. Santana has been on fine form after taking a race victory, then 2 third places. Certainly has picked up form at the right moment within the season and capitalised when his rivals were not here in the championship. But for Rene Clean, down in 17th, and validated that previous attempt at turn 12. He'll be kicking us underway for the final runs. No more redos. It's all about this final attempt here for Rene. What's he going to be able to do? Oliver Knott currently leads the time. His teammate, he'd love to at least potentially get into those 21.2s and put himself comfortably within that mid-pack for now. And it's been Claudio Diaz just behind him alongside Ave Gabadi. We need to also keep an eye on the likes of the 2 Williams drivers and Oliver Knott alongside Rafael and Giovanni Kennis. But for Rene Clean, makes his way now into turn 6. Braking just as the curb starts. Down to 3rd gear, misses that apex ever so slightly by double locking those front tyres. That's not gonna do him a world of good thus far. And what we're gonna look at in the middle sector, of course, last time around was up by 0.2 of a second. What we're seeing here in the middle this time around, only up by 600. So for Rene Clean, unless there's a monumental amount of time in the final sector, it is looking like a back row start for him. We'll switch to Ave Gabadi as he now makes his way through that middle sector split of 51.2. That was a 10th up from what we saw Alex Santana do through the middle sector. So for Gabadi, it could be a one and done. It could be a one-shot qualifying session that takes him to the very top of the times. But of course, we will still have to wait for others to reply. So for Gabadi, who of course has had such a horrid season when it comes to having no internet at home. Last week was able to get 2nd place in the race. But can he get pole position here this evening across the line? It's just not enough for provisional pole. 4th fastest for the Kick Sauber. Silva. Claudio Diaz will now make his way to the line. He'll go quickest of all by 11 thousandths. Cavera only 13th. Napadovsky will be next to the line. Bieda goes quickest of all now. He's up to the very top at 21.0. Is Santana improving as he makes his way to the line? He does improve but goes second fastest. Oliver Knott has invalidated, so he won't go back-to-back in the pole positions. Victor Vidler, is he up or is he down? I did not see in that middle sector split, but all eyes do certainly turn to the Swede in the championship picture. Raphael to the top now on a 21.0. Vidler will surely need a 1 minute 20. This could be a championship defining lap by what could be a championship level driver. Here we are then for Vidler. Has he got the caliber to do it across the line? No, only 5th fastest, but puts him just behind teammate Alex Santana. Now we wait for Iskrig. He stays 13th. And for Raphael, he picks up his first pole position of the season from Zalan Bieda. Lorenz Patton in 3rd as well. Spectacular performance from the Haas driver. But for the Scuderia Ferrari at the front of the field, it's pole position here this evening. He was one of the hopefuls after a ridiculously close midpoint to qualifying. And for Raphael, he takes pole in the penultimate round, and crucially, the two championship rivals of Santana and Vidler line up 4th and 5th on the 2nd and 3rd row respectively, with Abe Kabadi down in 10th. I did not see where Langrock qualified. He qualified 8th in the end as well. But your field is as follows. It's Raphael from Zalan Bieda, Lorenz Patton, Alex Santana and Victor Vidler, Claudio Diaz in 6th. Then it's Oliver Knott, Dennis Langrock, Giovanni Kennis, Kabadi, Veglas, Napadovsky, Iskrig, Cavero, Galanate, Hoyer, and then it's Gio and Clean who round out your field. There's 1,000 separating 16th and 17th, but what a qualifying session that was. And it was all the way down to the wire. All about track evolution, and also about just being able to find that clean air on the road. Then push on once again. So as we now head into the race. Let's quickly take you through the circuit that holds the penultimate round of the season here this evening. 5.281 kilometers or 3.281 miles here of the Yas Marina circuit, and of course 16 corners as well, with 2 DRS zones in the over 1 kilometer long, back straight between turns 5 and 6, and then also between turns 8 and 9 on that national pitch straight. This is going to be potentially a title deciding afternoon. You'll have to wait and see what happens. Of course, Santana has to outscore by 11 points onto Victor Vidler, and Spaniard capitalise. And can the Spaniard be able to pull off what has been a remarkable fight back in the championship? Yes, Vidler has not been here for certain points throughout the season, but Santana still had to get the job done. And that is certainly what has happened. Up the season so far, all about capitalisation. Santana, he's done just that, especially with Kabadi not being here for a majority of the season, with the as well be a story of what could have been for him if he can't carry on the title fight in that final round. Of course, to outscore Santana by 2 points to at least give himself an opportunity. It's not a realistic chance if he outscores by 2, but it's still an opportunity. But we're now looking at the lights. It's Raphael and Bieda on the front row of the grid here in Abu Dhabi. The penultimate round of the season is underway, and it's a good start from the prancing horse, who gallops away from the start-finish line, and Bieda has just had to slot into second place there. Santana looking on the offensive against Patton in front, but that's allowed Victor Vidler to go around the outside. There's contact! Santana sent into a spin. There's also a bit of front wing flying off, and Santana's out of the race, collected by Rene Clean, and drama for the championship leader, as he's not even made it past turn 3 in this Grand Prix. Victor Vidler went out around the outside. Santana bobbles over the curb into the side of his teammates and is out of the race already. This could be a perfect opportunity not only for Victor Vidler but Ave Gabani too to capitalise now on their championship rival, having a disastrous race start for Raphael. This virtual safety car is a dream for him because he doesn't have to worry about an attack from Bieda or Patton. But for Victor Vidler, he is now staring at a golden opportunity. The Williams Civil War has ended in contact here in round 9. And unfortunately for Alex Santana, he got spun around and taken out immediately. There was also a little bit of contact further back with a driver who went into the back of Santana. Was it Gabadi? No, it wasn't Gabadi. I don't think it was Napadovsky either. Potentially Dennis Lanrock. Yes, it was Lanrock who had some contact, and he's picked up some right front end plate damage. But drama at the start already, and this championship has another twist in the tail as there's Napadovsky looking to the inside of teammate Gabadi into the penultimate corner. Can't get the move done. Lanrock, of course, will have to come into the pit lane. Rene clean surely will as well. Actually, no, I think it was Oliver Knott who collected Alex Santana and caused that retirement. But it is drama in the penultimate round already. The championship has been blown wide open, and for Victor Vidler, scoring 8 points within 1 point clear of Santana, heading into the final round if things finish as they are. But of course, we still have a long race to go. Lanrock, Knott and Diaz all into pit lane. They all sustained some damage on that opening lap. And for Raphael at the front of the field, he now needs to look behind because he wasn't able, to extend that gap by a second with that virtual safety car to Zalan Bieda behind. DRS now enabled. The Alpine can certainly try and attack, and for Patton, he's going to try and keep Victor Vidler behind him in this race as well. But disaster for Alex Santana, and it's the Williams collision which caused that accident. Santana span across the road, and oh boy, have things got even more spicier here this evening. So as we exit with Zalan Bieda out of the penultimate corner, let's have a look at the tyres everybody is using. It's the top 6 all on the mediums, and it's Napadovsky on the hards, Veglar's mediums, and we've got Koya Cavero, Escrig on hards, and then it's Galanay Clean on the mediums, and then Nao Gio on the hards, with also Lanrock, Knott and Diaz who made that pit stop there, heading onto that white wall tyre as well. And they would have started on the medium compound, so not many drivers electing to start on those mediums, only 5. The rest of the field all thought the medium hard would be the way to go. But Zalan Bieda not able to get close enough just yet. Lorenz Patton might actually closer for a move. Actually, no, just tucked out of the slipstream, and it's allowing Victor Vidler to gain even more. Of course, for the Swede here this evening, now staring at a golden opportunity to reclaim that championship lead. And I want to know exactly how Santana must be feeling. He went round the outside. He went to the inside of Patton into turn 1. Just wasn't able to get the move done. Vidler was like, thank you very much. I'll look to the outside line. Then it was just all about bobbling over that curb for Santana on the inside, sending him into the side of Victor Vidler. Unfortunately, from that point onwards, he was just sitting duck, got smashed into from behind. That sent him into the path of Oliver Knott. And that front left tyre came off the motor. Unfortunately for him, that ruled him out of this race before he could even get it underway. Of course, the last time we saw a championship leader in real life F1 as well, out on the opening lap of a feature race, was Oscar Piastri in Azerbaijan 2025. And he went on to lose that championship in real life. Has Santana potentially cost himself the opportunity to win the championship here this evening with that collision? Victor Vidler not able to get close enough to Patton. This is where we're going to see a lot of these drivers, because that opening lap skirmish was disrupted by the virtual safety car. I wouldn't be surprised now if we start to see that DRS train form. and no one really get close enough for overtaking opportunities. Of course, for Gabadi, it was a lifeline in his championship challenge, because of course now he's certainly, if he finishes in the top 9, outscoring Alex Santana by 2 points, keeping his title hopes alive. Of course, 17, well, he only needed to really outscore by 1 to make it 17. But he would then need to rely on a pole position next time out in Saudi Arabia. Gives him more of a realistic opportunity. It is 16 and under, and actually is a little bit of a slide out of that final corner. Raphael, he's starting to gap Zalan Bieda a little bit. 8 tenths per second is that gap between the top 2. The prancing working quite nicely here in Abu Dhabi so far, and is actually on the edge of breaking that DRS, but unfortunately for him, Zalan Bieda was just able to claw back the time just before we reach that DRS detection zone. He is out of a DRS now, but we'll get it open down this back straight. And for Lorenz Patton, he's maybe a little bit quicker in that Haas and could potentially himself go for a move. Bieda very late on the brakes into turn 6, would get a nice exit out of the corner and now open up DRS in that Alpine. Close in once more against Raphael. There's actually some scrapping a little bit further back between Escrig, Galanay and also Cavero. And it was Escrig who came out on top there, but they've crucially lost DRS to Daniel Koya. And for Escrig, he is now just making his way turn 9. Galanay on those mediums has dropped to place to a hard runner now. Veglars, of course, him and Veglars were together on the road, as Escrig certainly would have got a track limit penalty for, well, warning should I say, for that. Completely chopped off the apex of turn 12. Potentially those medium tyres are getting to the end of their shelf life already. Of course, Abu Dhabi having a lot of long corners and being very traction heavy does do a lot of damage onto those tyres. So potentially those medium around about lap 8, lap 9 could start to really plummet, and that's when we see the likes of Napadovsky try and make their way up through the field. Once again, Patton close on the exit of turn 5, but with Bieda having DRS, not much that the Haas driver can do at this current stage. Now DRS open, heading down into turn 6 here on lap 6 of 29. Was further back, not Langrock and Diaz. They're going to do as much as they can with that opening lap damage. Try and claw something back in this race as Patton takes a really wide line down that pitch straight just to save the engine temperature. Of course, at a power demanding track where, of course, you need to get the foot down from low gears. You need to keep that engine full. And, of course, within quite a hot track as well, these drivers will be looking to duck out of the slipstream at any opportunity if they're not within closing distance for a DRS overtake. They'll just move to that right or left hand side. Make sure their engine stays nice and cool to maybe even use that to then get closer to have the attack. Be able to see themselves through, of course. For Raphael so far this season, his best finish is currently a 7th place, which was at Singapore. And for Zalan Bieda, it was a 4th place at round 2 in Baku. And of course, for Lorenz Patton, I don't think he scored all season long. I think his first race was last time out in Belgium, and he did not score there. So for Lorenz Patton, what a way to put yourself on the board, a bit like what Oliver did last week, where his first point scoring finish was a race victory. Can Patton do the same? For Zalan Bieda, he has been able to keep that gap to Raphael in front of him at around about half a second now. He's kept the Ferrari within touching distance. He tried to break away, just was not able to do it by enough to break clear of that DRS from the Alpine behind. We head a little bit further back in this train. Ave Gabadi getting closer to the back of Giovanni Kennis. He's one of the closest drivers to a car in front in this field. for Lorenz Patton. He's getting closer once more. Could we finally see a move here from the Haas driver onto the Alpine in front if he gets a nice exit out of turn 5? The Alpine does seem to have a lot of straight line speed, though. It's really able to break away from the Haas down this next straight. That, of course, 1 kilometre straight, of course, does stay in the slipstream of Raphael, and Lorenz does pull out to that left, but still a monumental pace differential as Wittler is getting very close to the back of the Haas driver, just not close enough for a lunge. Also a Swede, he would love a race victory himself. Really put grasp the opportunity that Alex Santana has given him with that DNF. Now onto the brakes. In the final sector we go, the final complex of corners. Vidler will once again sit behind with Patton. Now in third, of course, still trying to put Bieda under pressure. He gains so much time for that final and first sector, does Patton. But then as soon as we get to that first DRS straight, he just completely falls behind, and it allows Vidler to really reel him into his grasp. So if Vidler can get a nice run over 5, I certainly see a move into 6 being possible for the Swede. And it could certainly start to be Lorenz Patton's undoing. It's just that straight line speed, because he just drops so much time down this straight. It could be just entirely because he pulls out of the slipstream. That's actually Ivan Iskrik now gets passed onto Max Veglars. That's a move made by the Ferrari on the Alpine. Is Veglars going to get close enough for a retaliation? I don't think he will, heading into turn 9. So that's Iskrik up into 9th place now in this race. And those hard tyres will certainly start to feel a lot better than those mediums as Cavero goes to the inside of Jeremy Gallinay. He now looks back on the inside with a switchback. Not able to get the car underneath, get the traction to get underneath on the V-Carb, on the Red Bull, and the V-Carb has to stay in 12th place. Is Skreek been able to claw back that DRS on Daniel Koya in front? Of course, it seems like there's a real split in driver setup when it comes to being comfortable. A lot of some drivers being on a high downforce setup to get better runs through that final sector and also through the first part of the lap as well. And then drivers with a lot less downforce, like yours, Alan Bieda, through that middle sector with the 2 very long straights. Give them opportunities to fight back in this one. Napadovsky now getting close to the back of teammate Ave Gabali as they exit out of turn 5. Are we going to see the kick Salbers now start to squabble? As there's also Daniel Koya, of course, just behind Oleg Napadovsky. And Napadovsky might come under a little bit of trouble if he doesn't start to attack Gabali right in front of him. Is he going to look to the inside line? No, he is not. Neither is Koya to try and go for that move, but Napadovsky gets caught out under braking, allows the Red Bull to break that little bit closer. And now we'll see with the DRS open who will come out on top here. Is Koya going to be in for an opportunity? No, he is not. It's actually Napadovsky really lifts off there into turn 9, potentially on a fuel save if he's underfield the car. But that's actually allowed Daniel Koya to get all over the back of him. Just not able to get the exit though. See himself through as Jeremy Gallinay drop behind Niall Gio. He's down to 13th place now. At the front of the field, gap still staying the same. We'll look back at Oliver Knott, Dennis Langrock, and also Claudio Diaz, who's actually 13.7 seconds back as Diaz. Is actually, we see our first medium runner into the pit lane. It's Ave Gabadi and also Jeremy Gallinay into the pits after 10 laps on those mediums. They say, thank you very much. I'm going to come in and try the undercut strategy. How well will this work? Will it be enough to see them go to the very top, or at least in Gabadi's case, into the top 3? And for Gallinay, would it be enough to at least try and claw his way back in to a top 6 position? That will be a real question that they'll be wanting to have answered as Gallinay's come up behind Rene Clean, and crucially for Ave Gabadi, He has come out in front, but on another set of mediums. A two-stop strategy potentially here from Gabadi. Or started on the mediums. Onto a second set. Is the two-stop faster here in Abu Dhabi? We'll see if the likes of Rafael, Bieda, Patton, especially Vidler and Kennis, if they react and what tyre they go on to. Bieda, he's starting to get really close to the back of Rafael in front of him. Potentially the Ferrari starting to struggle with his tyres. And actually, Bieda into the pit lane. Sarah Patton, Vidler also follows them in. Kennis stays out for one more. So it's Rafael and Kennis who stay out for another lap. Bieda, Patton, Vidler, Veglars all into pit lane. And Veglar's actually going to get held in the double stack here. But it is hard tyres for the top three. Three of the top four that came into pit lane. So for Ave Gabadi, where does he come out in relation as he's climbing his way now up through the field? He's making his way through turn 2 and he's absolutely gapped Zalan, Bieda, Patton and Vidler. And also Vidler might come under pressure here from Rene Clean on pit lane exit. But no, Clean nowhere near close enough. And for Vidler, he's right within 2/10 of Lorenz Patton. So he might even try a move here on this outlap to try and get a position gained on the Haas driver in front. So Gabadi on that two-stop. It's a rogue strategy, but can he get it done? For Victor Vidler. Not close enough once again onto Patton. Has to miss the apex just to avoid the back of the Haas driver. And we'll have to sit behind once more. As actually Napadovski's been able to get past Giovanni, Kennis and Koya. Might be able to follow him through. No, just isn't close enough. Surely now, though, Rafael and Kennis come into pit lane. Yes, into the pit lane does come Rafael, and into the pit lane as well does come Giovanni Kennis. Now, the only drivers yet to stop are the hard runners who started the race on that hard compound of tyre. And this is where that second half of the race gets underway. We start to see drivers be a bit more aggressive, be a bit more brave on their strategy fronts and also in their battling positions. Where does Rafael come out in relation to this field? Is he ahead of Gallané side by side with Jeremy Gallané as they make their way down into turn 5? And he does get ahead, but he has crucially dropped behind the 3 cars that were behind him when he came into pit, when they came into pit lane. Bieda, Patton and Vidler. Patton once again just still tucking out of that slipstream. He's not wanting any part of it, and Rafael is getting close to the back here of Victor Vidler. Will look to the inside of the Swede. Can't get a move done, and actually Vidler to the inside of Lorenz Patton and all of this. That's going to give Patton a poor run out of turn number 7, and this might still allow Rafael to get the move onto the Williams driver. To the outside will go Rafael, and he is ahead now of Victor Vidler. No fight made by the Swede. He knows he can't really fight too aggressively, especially with Santana being out of the race. And for Patton, he tried to move there onto Zalan Bieda, but here comes Rafael looking around the outside into turn 12. Just was not able to get a car down the outside. And for the Ferrari, is certainly on a fight-through mission, and what a result this would be for the Prancing Horse outfit, the Scuderia. A race victory. It'll be their first victory of the season with one of their full-time drivers. And for Rafael now, excellently, this will be Lorenz Patton. We're about to hit that halfway stage, halfway through the lap. Are we going to see Rafael go for the move here on Lorenz? Heading down that back straight. Is he close enough for the lunge? No, he is not. Sits behind, just waits his turn through the chicane. If he can get a nice exit like he did last time around against Victor Vidler, he surely could get this move done into 9. Just not got the run that he desperately needed. Has to sit behind the Haas driver once more. DRS trains are certainly very common here in Abu Dhabi. Still very difficult to overtake as once again Raphael looks to the outside of Patton through turn 12. Just can't get a nose to that outside line. And Patton places the car very nicely as well. Of course, just in front of these drivers is Ave Gabadi on that set of the mediums. He is trying to two-stop strategy, but will it work? I don't think it will at this stage, especially with the fact that the likes of Napadovsky, Koya and Iskrig have been able to take those tyres 14 laps so far, make it 15 come the end of this one. I think these drivers will easily take those hards a total of 19 laps, but it could have been a little bit of an issue for the game as there's Raphael to the inside of Lorenz. Again, the Haas driver just braking late enough and placing his car perfectly to cover off the position, but it's DRS now open. I wouldn't be surprised if Lorenz Patton might try and attack here on Zalan Bieda, because it could be his best form of defence onto Raphael behind him, but no, not going to be close enough for a lunge on the brakes, even with that DRS. Once again, a poor run for Raphael out of turn 7. Does not give him the opportunity to go for a lunge. Jeremy Gallanet has been able to keep with these guys quite nicely as well, just behind Victor Fiddler. So that undercut definitely brought back Jeremy Gallanet into play. Of course, the Frenchman looking for some points. It's been a very, very difficult season for Gallanet. He's been in point-scoring positions and been involved in the incident. Unfortunately, has taken him out of those points. Been on for big point scores or something then goes wrong like a 10-second time penalty. It's been a really up and down season for Jeremy Gallanet. And unfortunately for him, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know why the game decided to pause itself. But of course, for Jeremy Gallanet, up and down season. Not got many points to show for it either. Oliver not now into pit lane. He's the first of the drivers who came in on that opening lap for damage to come into pits. Onto another set of the hards. Of course, him and Claudio Diaz alongside Dennis Lanrock will be on that two-stop strategy. As we head down the back straight. Once again, Raphael not close enough for a move, but he has dropped Victor Vidler from DRS range, and that's crucial for the Swedes here if he does lose the DRS to the cars in front, because it does then put him under pressure, not only from Jeremy Gallanet, but also from Giovanni Kennis behind as well. So we make our way into turn 9 now. Still no moves being made further forwards. But if Raphael, who takes this wider line through 9, can get the power down nicely, get a lovely toe through turn 11, might look for a lunge here into 12. But Patton once again placing his car in the middle of the road, knows exactly how to defend this one. He certainly does. And he stays in 8th place for now. Look at Raphael, he's got so much speed. Just can't seem to find a way through because Patton is defending beautifully right now. And Ave Gabadi already in off those mediums. And Rene Clean picks up our first track limits warning. Penalty, should I say, sorry. As that was actually coming into the pit lane, so that could still very easily be removed. Yellow flag in the first sector. It's Cavero who's gone straight on at turn 5. Is there any safety car? No, that could be a Cavero brake or technical issue, a brake disconnect, a wheel disconnect. Unfortunately there, for Alexi Cavero, will be out of this race, our second retirement. I think you're lucky in the sense of Ave Gabadi that there was not a safety car, because you may have just boxed for the completely wrong lap. Stayed out a lap longer, you could have got a cheeky pit stop there. But for Giovanni Kennis, he was able to get past on Jeremy Gallanet. Victor Vidler, of course, is just in front of him now. He's been able to claw back that deficit to Raphael in front. A little bit of understeer from the Williams car through turn 9. Not able to find a way through. It's actually just a little bit further up. It's Lorenz Patton looking to the outside here on Zalan Bieda. Just wasn't able to get the move done. And Patton certainly really starting to attack aggressively. Shio now picks up 3 seconds once again. That is the pit lane glitch here at Abu Dhabi, where if you head into the pit lane at a certain angle, I think it is, you pick up an automatic 3-second time penalty. You get a triple warning. Giovanni Kennis behind these guys. He's now all over the back of Victor Fiddler. He might even be able to make his way now up into that P5. The Swede might now drop into P6. Of course, himself would still be a net P5, as of course Koya is set on 17 lap old hards, yet to pit. And crucially for Ave Gabadi here, these drivers that have just come in have jumped him in that pit lane. So for Gabadi, it goes from bad to worse. And this race certainly not going his way, as there's Raphael to the inside onto Patton, nearly contact, and this might allow Victor Vidler through onto the pair of them, but no, the Williams driver wasn't close enough for the move, but Patton will surely fight back now against Raphael into turn 9. This might give Zalan Bieda the breathing room to go for an attack and just try and break away. It's Patton to the inside, he barges Raphael up the way, Kenny's through on the inside of Victor Vidler just behind them too. Patton stays within DRS of Zalan Bieda, but he's through on the Ferrari and he's back into that third place. And that P2 is him. He's once more as Kennis runs wide. Vidler now looking to the outside on the Aston Martin. Isn't able to find his way through. And for Giovanni Kennis, he survives a scare there on the underbraking into turn 12. Still within DRS as well, crucially, on Raphael in front of him. But it all kicked off there on lap 19 of 29. Of course, not too long left in this race. Only 12 laps to go. And for Giovanni Kennis, able to get past Victor Vidler, and of course just in front of him, Raphael was scrapping very aggressively with Lorenz Patton. As we make our way out of turn 5. Don't think Raphael will be close enough this time around, but we will keep tabs on him. We'll keep an eye on the Ferrari, but he is gaining a lot heading into the braking zone. And is he now setting himself up for that run into turn 9? It's all about this exit, of course. You need to ride over that curb beautifully to then get the drive, get the power down, DRS open. I just don't think he's there. No, he's not. Still 3 attempts behind by the time we reach turn 9, excuse me. And of course, not a heavy enough braking zone. Go for a lunge that far back. This top 6, of course, still lead the way. A little bit further back, we've got Napadovsky on the back of Veglar's, and it's Grieg and Gio, who of course picked up that 3-second time penalty through the pit lane. And for now, Gio on for some points as well. He's not got many points this season. I think he's only got 1 or 2 points. Certainly double his tally at the very least. Able to pick up a top 10 result. Jeremy Gallinet also getting very close to Victor Vidler in front. It seems that switch between the mediums and the hards hasn't favoured the Swede at all. Victor Vidler just isn't able to get close enough or even be able to pull away from the car behind. He's just, it seems like the balance of the car has completely shifted in a favour that he does not like. It's shifted in a way that has made him completely drop off the pace and start to fall further and further back and into the clutches of others rather than pushing onto the cars in front of him. And for Jeremy Gallinet, he is now all over the back of him as Oleg Napadovsky's able to get past Max Veglar's. And Skrieg will want to follow him through as quickly as possible. It's all about now the exit between those 8-lap-old hards and 2-lap-old mediums, but I just don't think Skrieg will be close enough. And for Napadovsky, he's going to be able to break away from his medium tyre rivals. Koya also came out in front of Abe Gabadi, and this could be Gabadi out of championship contention here this evening if he's not able to find his way further up through the order. When we cross the line, it'll be 10 laps to go here in Abu Dhabi. As we start lap 21 of 29, and Vidler nearly out of DRS range of Kennis. He will really start to come under pressure here from Jeremy Gallinet if he does lose his DRS, and does lose the DRS through turn 3. The balance has completely shifted in that car. He's not liking how it's driving. And unfortunately for Victor Vidler, he's still going to be able to capitalise on Santana not being here. But he might still be second place in the standings, and it could still be in Santana's hands. Gallinet getting closer and closer, just not able to get close enough for the move. He's probably just waiting for a run out of turn 9 with the DRS. Is also just behind these guys, Iskrig and Gio, able to make their way through onto Max Veglars, but we're going to stay on board of this battle as there goes Galanay getting closer, and to the inside he goes, and into turn 9 does pull clear as Gio is now able to get past on Max Veglars, and crucially for him, just stays within touching distance of Ivan Iskrig as Daniel Koya also gets by as well late onto the brakes on the Alpine, who now drops down to 11th place. And of course, Abe Gabali needs at least a point to stay mathematically within contention. Further back, Lanrock cannot swap places once more. But it's going to be Lanrock's championship charge over. He'll be mathematically knocked out here this evening. For the German, I thought it was a terrific start to the season for him to put himself in that contention. These latter few races have certainly just not gone his way at all, and he's slowly drifted further and further out of any championship possibilities. And tonight will be that nail in the coffin after picking up that front wing damage after hitting the spinning Santana. As Abe Gabali's able to get past Max Veglars now, he needs to gain one singular place to keep himself within contention. Of course, if Gio can get that penalty removed, at the moment, as things stand, Gabali will not be in mathematical contention, but you don't know what's going to happen further up as Fiddler getting closer to the back of Galanay, not able to see himself through. Make our way through the final sector with the Williams driver. Down. Great we go. And actually, I think I know why the balance has gone completely wrong for Victor Vidler. I've only just picked up on it. He's actually got some front wing end plate damage. I don't know where he picked that up from, but he does have some front wing damage. We've just not really been able to see front wing cleanly enough to see where that happened. So it's not just it's not the balance of the tyre as such from the mediums to the hards. It's the front wing. And that's what's cost him dear. And in an opportunity to take the championship lead back away from his teammate, could even end up finishing in a lower point scoring position. Maybe even the likes of behind Nabadovsky and even Eskrig if they're able to catch up. Going to be teetering on the edge of dropping out of the points. But crucially for him as well, Jeremy Galanay is pulling him along quite nicely. Who's 1.7 himself behind Giovanni Kennis. Our way through the final corner. 6 laps to go. Starts now, and for Zalan Bieda, he could be on for his first race victory of the season, his first podium of the season. For Patton, it will be his first point scoring result of the season, and will be his first race victory. Will it be in similar fashion as Oliver Knott? 2 new point scorers getting it back to back with race victories. And then for Raphael as well, who is of course only got a best of 7th all season. He pick up his first race victory in only his 3rd start. As Raphael looks to the inside of Lorenz Patton into turn 6. Nearly contact between the two. The Ferrari will get the up and under. Will try get the exit now onto the Haas driver, who's nearly dropped out of DRS range, crucially by a few hundredths. Stays within Bieda's drag reduction system window. As to the inside will go Raphael. The Ferrari will barge his way down the inside. Can he pull this one off? Galanay has dropped behind not only Victor Vidler but Napadovsky as well. Still side by side on the exit of 9 between Patton and Raphael. And for the Haas driver, once again an expert display in defending as he holds on to that second place once more. And for Raphael, he's thinking, what can I do to get by this guy? Because I go to the outside, I go to the inside, and I just can't seem to find a way past. And it's inviting Giovanni Kennis even closer. And of course, further back, as I mentioned, crucially, Vidler ahead of Galanay, but he's now got Napadovsky in between himself and the V-Carb. Of course, no, actually Daniel Koyer and Ivan Iskrig in 8th and 9th, and Gio has now dropped out of the top 10 with Gabadi now into those top 10 positions, so mathematically within contention now with the title once again. But I'd love to move even further as for Giovanni Kennis. He looked for a move there onto Raphael. We could see 3 wide down into turn 9. The Aston Martin has been biding his time. He's not picked up a race victory all season. Of course, did win in Brazil, but got it taken away from him after a last lap collision with Santana. And Kennis in closer, looking for the exit. You can see just by that line, trying to set himself up nicely. A small wobble out of 7, just doesn't know how to get the power down as well as he hoped. Now open up that DRS behind the Ferrari, who's starting to derate, and that's going to allow the Aston Martin to get closer and closer. He now looks to the inside into 9. Is Kennis going to be able to find his way through? Onto Raphael in front of him. They're still going to run side by side out of turn 9, but I think the Aston Martin will just have to give way, and does. Raphael able to hold on to 3rd place, as when we cross the line, there'll be 4 more racing laps to go here in Abu Dhabi this evening. The penultimate round of the season is nearly over. And for Giovanni Kennis, he is certainly looking to get a podium. His 2nd podium of the season, sorry. Tries to get past the Ferrari and move further up the order. It's actually Raphael, so he drops out of DRS range of Patton, which could mean the Haas driver has a clear shot at Bieda in front. But crucially, Raphael at the DRS detection zone was just able to stay ahead as Napadovsky was able to get past Victor Vidler, and his Iskrig is all over the back now of Jeremy Galanay. Iskrig getting closer and closer. We're about to hit the brakes into turn 6. Is he going to look for the lunge? No, did poke a nose to the inside. Just wasn't able to brake late enough though for an overtake. But now with the run out of turn 9. DRS open once again. We'll look to the inside into turn 9 this time. There's contact. And once again for Jeremy Galanay, when big points are on offer, an incident occurs. And he drops down to 10th place. There's still getting a point maybe. It's actually Gio potentially looking around the outside. So for Niall, he still might be able to fight his way into the top 10 here. Galanay going to have to maybe back out of this one as he heads around the outside, and he does. The Haas driver up into 10th. And for Iskrig, it was a risky move to the inside, and he wasn't really in a position to be warranted space. And Galanay outside the points once more. That's the story of his season. Points can be on offer. But unfortunately for him, dropping down the field, having incidents that aren't his fault. His Koyer picks up a 3-second time penalty. That one is legit. So he's still himself could have an opportunity at scoring some big point, scoring at least a point here this evening. As we look at the drivers standing, it'll be 1 point separating the top 2 heading into the final round. As Claudio Diaz has retired in the pit lane. Actually, no, sorry, it'll be 2 points separating the top 2 into the final round. So it will be a real shootout. And of course, Victor Vidler can win the title on countback as well. That's he's also saving grace. He just needs to outscore by 2. In all schemes of things, is actually here on lap 27 of 29. Patton to the inside of Salam Bieda. The Haas driver hits the front of the field here in Abu Dhabi with 2 laps to go when we cross the line. These 2 are broken away from Raphael, so it's a real dogfight between the Alpine and the Haas driver. Bieda has defended for so long. Galanay picks up a 3-second time penalty as he squabbles away with Iskrig once more. Gio able to get up into 9th place now as well. And for Lorenz Patton, he's at the front now, but has he gone too soon? And can Bieda now fight back with a DRS? of course, for Zalan Bieda. He has not got a podium all season long. He's only got 13 points to his name. So if he does pick up this race victory, he will double his championship tally and an extra 3 points on top of that as well to add the extra cherry onto the cake. And he is back through down into turn 6 on the penultimate tour here in Abu Dhabi. And I think that's exactly what Lorenz Patton wanted here in Yas Marina, was to just try and play his cards right. But is he going to go for it once again into turn 9? It will look to the outside line. He does break later than the Alpine. Has he got enough grip to swing it all the way around the outside? He'll hold it. There's contact between the two. Patton forced off the road, and he's on the inside as well. Squeezed by Bieda into 11, and he's back through once more. Patton back into the race lead against Zalan Bieda. And Raphael is also being invited into this battle once more, as he is now 3 tenths behind, so he could still capitalise on this and find his way back into race-winning contention after dominating that first stint of the evening, and he's just not been able to claw his way back into the fights. Wasn't able to get past there on Patton. Actually runs really wide through the first corner. The final tour of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the penultimate round of the season, begins now, and Victor Vidler might even himself be able to pick up a 5th place, so it could be 1 point between the top 2 in the standings. Lanrock has retired from the race as Clean picked up a 3-second time penalty, but what happens now? Patton all the way to the inside. He'll try to break the slipstream. Will be able to go for it now, or has he learned from that last tour? He is going to go for it now to the inside. We've got a perfect view here from the Ferrari, who just isn't able to get close enough to follow the Alpine through, but does tag the back of Lorenz Patton. It's now all about this exit. Victor Vidler behind, able to get past on Oleg Napadovsky as they squabble in the background, and I just don't think Patton has enough. It could be Bieda's day here in F3, and it is certainly going to be Bieda's day if things stay as they are. And Napadovsky now around the outside here onto Victor Vidler. Is it going to be enough to try and take this 5th place away? They'll be squabbling all the way through the final sector. Vidler backs off, and that's allowing Koya now to attack, but at the front of the field, the Hungarian of Zalan Bieda, who's had a very disappointing season, will see the checkered flag first here in the penultimate round. Here in Yas Marina, it will be the Alpine who reigns supreme, and he takes the race victory from Lorenz Patton in 2nd place. The Hungarian takes his first victory, and that certainly will do him all sorts of good in terms of those drivers' standings. And Lorenz Patton finishes in 2nd. A spectacular result from him. Raphael in 3rd. And for the first time this season, I believe, we have a non-Williams 1, 2, 3. We do not have a Williams on the podium. And what a result that is for Zalan Bieda. A win here in Yas Marina, showing that, of course, here in F3, no matter where you may place in the standings, no matter where you may pick up your best result earlier on in the season, no matter how many points you score, there is always an opportunity, if one track is to your liking, to pick up a race victory. Zalan Bieda takes the race victory from Patton in 2nd. Unfortunately misses out on that win. Raphael, who drops from 1st to 3rd and everything, stayed out that lap longer than everybody else. Not favour in that strategy front. Kennis with a spectacular drive from 9th to 4th. Same with Napadovsky from 12th to 5th. Vidler brings that championship gap down now to 2 points against Alex Santana. So he finished in 6th. Gabadi in 7th. He keeps his championship hopes alive as Greek Koya Gio is able to pick up a point. Beglars, Gallané, Clean, Knott, and in your non-finishers, Langrock, Diaz, Cavero, and Santana. And as we now, of course, head back to the comms box, I'm going to see if anybody would like a view from the top 3. Interesting to hear their thoughts on things. And of course, what a race that was. Drama on that opening lap with Alex Santana and Vidler making that contact into turn 2, and that then sent Santana into the spin, and that unfortunately retired him from the race before it even got underway. And for Alex Santana, it is a huge moment in the championship because Vidler now has a prime opportunity that if he outscores by 2 points, even if they finish, of course, even in a 5th and 6th with Vidler ahead, Vidler will win the title on countback. Let's quickly head back to the standings just before the race tonight. You can see Vidler with 3 race victories. Even if Santana did finish ahead, did of course finish 2 points behind him with that only 1 race win. Should have really been 2, but got pipped to the line by Abe Gabadi in Azerbaijan. It will be a race victory. It will be a championship victory for the Swede. Gabadi, of course, keeps his hopes alive. He brings that gap down to now 13 points. It's still an outside shot, but it is certainly an opportunity to still take the race victory, especially after the 3 races he had where he did not have any internet. So, still a commendable season from Gabadi. I think he can be very happy to take the title down to the final day. And of course, actually talking about Gabadi, I've just seen in the Discord that the game actually, it was a game bug that made the medium tyre appear again. So he shouldn't have been on a 2-stop. And he could have potentially even won this race and really brought himself into contention. It would have been a 3-way fight and about 3 points separating that top 3 if he did win the race. Or even got a podium. Well, unfortunately for Ave, some things just don't go your way. But doesn't look like we're going to get any interviews here this evening, but we have been set up with a duel in the desert, a Saudi Arabian finale here, ladies and gentlemen, and oh boy, you will not want to miss this one. The Williams drivers 1 and 2 in the standings. 2 points separates the Spaniard of Alex Santana versus the Super Swede of Victor Vidler, and then of course Ave Gabadi outside threats still very much in play, and if things do fall right, if the cards do play into his hands perfectly, will be able to take the victory, will be able to win that championship. But of course the main focus is on Santana versus Vidler in this final round next week, next Thursday, as we head to the Jeddah Courtney Street Circuit. We've had 9 brilliant rounds from Spain to Azerbaijan, then we've head to the likes of Austria, then we've had a week break before a frantic last 6 weeks where it's just track after track after track, race after race, and one shift in momentum, one missed race like it was for Vidler, one good streak of podiums like it has been for Santana, has flipped this whole title, this whole championship on its head. As you can see, that round 10 next week, we head to the Jeddah Courtney Street Circuit, the fastest street circuit on the calendar, the fastest street circuit in the world. And of course, for Jeddah, it is going to be absolute brawl between Santana and Vidler. They will have no more opportunities to claim the world title, so they'll be fighting tooth or nail, and Gabadi will be as well, and hope things fall his way further behind. He needs to outscore by 13 points, of course, onto Santana, and outscore by 11 onto Victor Vidler. It is certainly going to be difficult for the Kick Sauber driver, but of course he could still find a title picture. But for Vidler and Santana, it will all come down to really who finishes ahead of the other. It will be a straight shootout between the pair, and of course for Vidler, he has that upper hand with the countback being in his favour. And could we get any more surprise race winners or podiums in that race? Of course, we've seen Zalan Bieda and Oliver Knott in the past 2 rounds pick up race victories. And certainly, again, next week we could see a surprise victor at Saudi Arabia. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be all from us here at PSGL F3. Make sure you tune in to F2, who are, if I quickly check the time, should just be nearing the end of their qualifying session. So if you want to see another spectacular race here at Yas Marina, tune into that one there. See what will happen. Of course, they're just finishing off their qualifying, but you do not want to miss next week here in F3. The championship goes all the way down to the wire. It's the duel in the desert. It is the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit, which hosts the season finale, the title finale, who will come out on top. It's a three-way fight for the championship. Santana versus Fiddler versus Gabadi. Is there going to be a surprise Cinderella story from Abe Gabadi? Is Santana going to complete a great fight back? Or will Victor Fiddler reign supreme and claw that championship battle back into his hands? All will be revealed next week, so join us at 7 p.m. UK time and 8 p.m. European time for what should be a frantic finale. But I shall see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you, and